Alright, now that we're showing average annual wages by industry, the next step is to visualize the data. Now, the type of data that we're working with is categorical, since we're breaking it down by industry, and we want to show comparison, since we want to compare wage values across industries. Therefore, the most appropriate way to visualize this would be with a bar chart. So I'm going to select the data and go to Insert, and here where we see the column chart, we can go and insert a bar chart. Now you could also use a column chart to compare categorical data, but you'll notice that the labels are diagonal, which is why I usually prefer bar charts. So let's go ahead and insert that, make it a little bit taller. And with that created, let's apply some DataVis best practices here. I'm going to go to Format and remove the chart border and select the grid lines and remove those as well. Now let's give it a meaningful title for now, which we will change later, but let's just call it Average Annual Wages by Industry. And maybe make this bold. And we can also make these labels bigger so that they're easier to read. Now, regarding the bars themselves, you'll notice that they're a little bit skinny right now, meaning that the space between them is much larger than the bars themselves. And if we select one and right click and go to Format Data Series, you'll notice that the width or the gap between them is actually 182% the size of the actual bars. And Excel does this by default, but I actually think that bar charts look better if the space between them is actually a little bit smaller than the bars themselves. So I'm going to change this from 182 to 85%, press Tab, and you'll see that we get nice thick bars that at least look a little bit better to me. Now we can also apply some formatting to our x-axis, and we've done this before, but what we can do is remove the 3 trailing zeros and replace them for a K to signify thousands. So I'm going to select that, right click, format the axis, and in the number drop down, let's change this to a custom number format. Remember, we need to add a comma to remove 3 digits, and then just add a K to indicate that we're looking at thousands of dollars. Press Add, and there we go. We can add some tick marks as well on the outside. Make these gray. And we can actually remove the border from the bars. I think it looks pretty nice, and at the end of the day, we don't really need it to tell us that these bars are being compared against the common baseline, because our eyes kind of associate that anyway. And with those adjustments, it looks like now we've got a very clear idea of how industries compare. By average wage, it looks like information and finance have the highest wages, and leisure and hospitality has the lowest out of the bunch.